Hey, what's up, keepers, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will discuss about molting. Molting is the most vulnerable moment in a stream's life, a biological ballet where timing, nutrition, genetics, and environmental harmony must all align perfectly. To the untrained eye, a molt may seem simple. The stream outgrows its exoskeletons, breaks free, and hardens a new shell. But beneath the surface lies a staggering complexity. Why do some stream molt effortlessly while others perish mid-process? Why do tanks with pristine parameters still suffer from sudden death? And why do even seasoned breeders sometimes witness unexplained losses that seem to defy logic? The answer is rarely just one thing. The molting process is a cascade of microscopic events, calcium transport, osmotic pressure, enzyme breakdowns, and muscular contractions. A stream needs more than clean water and stream food. It needs bioavailability, energy reserve, genetic strength, and most of all, a stream keeper who understands that success is about balance, not shortcut. In this video, we will go beyond the basics. We will explore how minerals like calcium and magnesium function at different stages of the molt. We will discuss the subtle but critical differences between natural food like biofilm and commercial feeds. We will examine how water changes, genetic factors, and even male and female ratios play an important part. And we will talk about how Mother Nature blueprint can help us rebuild a system that doesn't just look good, but works. This is not a guide, it is a philosophy. If you are ready to think deeper, look closer, and lead with intention, then let's begin. It begins with minerals, calcium and magnesium, two essential elements often praised for their roles in exoskeleton formation. In optimum concentration, they are a gift, aiding in the hardening of a stream's new exoskeleton immediately after O1 cracks open. During the molt, water rushes into the freshly exposed soft tissue, and with it comes these vital minerals that quickly solidifies the new shell into armor. But therein lies the danger, because in this microscopic window, often mere seconds, timing becomes everything. If the stream is weak, if its energy reserves are depleted, or its genetic compromised, it may not have the strength to execute that crucial kick-out motion. And if the minerals in the water are too readily available, the new exoskeleton may begin to harden before the stream has fully escaped the O1. When that happens, the molt becomes a trap, a coffin, a failed transition, and more often than not, a death sentence. It is crucial and cruel irony. What is meant to give life can also take it. Like fire, like water, like pressure, these are forces that can create diamonds, but also destroy anything unprepared to endure them. While water parameters matter, another critical piece of the puzzle begins long before the molt itself. Inside the stream body, during the formation of the new shell beneath the O1, this is where dietary intake becomes vital. While commercial feeds often steal the spotlight with colorful packaging and bold claims, the truth is simpler and more ancient. Biofilm is the cornerstone of stream health. This microscopic layer of bacteria, fungi, microalgae, and detritus form naturally on all surfaces in a well-established tank. It is nature's multivitamin, delivering essential proteins, enzymes, trace elements, and probiotics in a slow, constant trickle, exactly how stream evolved to receive their nutrition. The challenge? We cannot see it, not with the naked eye, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. If you have ever set up a new tank and waited a few weeks before adding stream, you have likely noticed how well they do initially, grazing actively, growing rapidly, and showing vibrant coloration. That's biofilm at work. However, what most keepers don't realize is that in a closed system, biofilm gets depleted fast. In just 1 to 2 days, a hungry colony can strip a tank of biofilm entirely, leaving only bare surfaces behind. The stream may look like they are still grazing, but they are searching, not feeding, and that distinction can make the difference between a successful molt and a fatal one. That's why supplementing biofilm is not optional. is essential. This is where tools like the calyx ball shine. Unlike conventional feeds, the calyx ball isn't consumed in a sitting. It cultivates, it slowly releases nutrients that encourage biofilm regeneration, creating microzones of consistent natural food that streams can return to again and again. It doesn't overwhelm the water with uneaten food or sudden parameter shifts. It works with the ecosystem, not against it. Commercial feed then plays a supporting role. Many modern stream feeds are fortified with calcium and magnesium, along with other trace elements designed to support proper exoskeleton development. These ingredients, when absorbed and stored in advance, help ensure that when the stream finally initiates the molt, the new shell forms correctly shaped, strong, and ready. But even the best commercial feed cannot replace what biofilm builds: a slow natural supply chain of nutrition, accessible 24/7 and metabolically suited for the stream's physiology. So let biofilm lead, let it be the foundation. But again, minerals alone are not enough. Energy is often the limiting factor. Without adequate protein, carbohydrates, and the right metabolic cofactors, the stream may lack the muscular strength required to perform the physical act of molting. Right before molting, streams absorb water through their gills, increasing internal pressure in their body cavity. In other words, expanding themselves. This hydraulic force causes the old exoskeleton to split at the weak point between the head and the thorax. The stream then twists and kicks, expanding its soft new shell to grow before it hardens. That kick, at that moment when the stream thrashes, twisting its body, forcing its way out of the old casing, is not passive, it's a fight. If the stream doesn't have the internal resources to fuel the process, resulting in a weak split, incomplete or misaligned, the stream may get stuck. And when it gets stuck, it's not always because the parameters were wrong. It's not always the water's fault. Sometimes it's a matter of preparation or a lack of it. There is one aspect often left out of the conversation: genetics. As breeders pursue even more vibrant colors, exotic patterns, and exaggerated forms, many lines of Caridina and Neocaridina stream have become heavily inbred over generations. With that comes increased vulnerability to environmental stresses, and yes, to failed molts. In every colony, a few losses due to molting are expected. One or two here and there is nature's quiet audit, a whisper from evolution, reminding us that not every stream is meant to thrive. And while it is painful, it's also a necessary part of maintaining a strong gene pool. This process is uncomfortable, especially for new stream keepers. Watching a stream struggle only to die halfway through its transformation is disheartening. But understand that sometimes this is nature's way of selecting out weak genetics can bring clarity. It's not about failure, it's about refinement. The goal then is not to save every individual at all costs, but to create an environment where the strong can thrive and reproduce, carrying forward resilience, vigor, and stability for future generations. When we talk about failed molts, another pattern often emerges. Most of these incidences involve female stream. There's a biological reason for this. Female streams tend to have a more elongated, broader carapax designed to carry eggs. Unlike the streamlined males, their body shape adds complexity to the molting process. It's not just about emerging, it's about maneuvering out of a larger, more rigid structure. Now, add to that the social pressure. In a tank with a poor male to female ratio, females that are nearing molt will become the focus of relentless attention. Males sensing pheromones will chase and harass them for hours, sometimes days. This constant stress can lead to premature or incomplete molting, especially if the male is already physically compromised. In some cases, males have even been observed helping the molting process, picking at the exoskeleton to encourage the molt to begin. While this may seem altruistic, it can inevitably allow water to leak into the new shell cavity before the molt fully initiates, triggering premature hardening and again trapping the female mid-transition. It's a haunting image, a creature trying to be reborn but locked inside the very system meant to protect it. This is the question every serious stream keeper eventually asks. What do I do? How do I prevent fail mode? The answer is multifaceted, and it begins with the shift in perspective. We must stop chasing perfect numbers and start chasing perfect balance. Optimize, don't over-supplement. Ensure that your water parameters are consistent and stable. Calcium and magnesium should be present but not excessive. Aim for a calcium to magnesium ratio of 2:1 or 3:1. Personally, we use 2:1. Feed for strength, not just color. In the wild, streams survive and thrive on what nature provides: biofilm, algae, detritus, and microorganisms that form across surfaces in the water column. A thriving stream colony should be built on a foundation of biofilm as the primary food source. This is where strength is forged. Number 3, watch your ratio. Keep your male to female ratio balanced. Too many males and your females will suffer. Too few and your breeding efforts will falter. Find harmony. Number 4, cull with compassion. Recognize that not all streams are meant to survive. Culling poor genetics isn't cruel, it's stewardship. And the better you do it, the more beautiful and stable your lines will become. But culling is only one part of the equation. The other, often overlooked, is the practice of renewal, and this begins with water. Water changes, when done mindfully, are not just about removing waste or resetting your parameters. They mimic one of the nature's most powerful process, rain. When we perform a water change in our tanks, we are not just doing maintenance, we are partnering with nature in its ancient rhythm. We are saying to the stream, out with the old, in with the new. We are giving them the environmental nudge they need to grow, molt, breed, and thrive. But the key is to do it with intent. Number 5, observe with intent. Be present. The answers are always there if we learn to watch, not just with our eyes, but with patience, curiosity, and a genuine desire to understand. Molting is not just a process, it is a metaphor for growth, for struggle, for change. It reminds us that transformation is always risky, that even in a perfect tank with perfect parameters and perfect food, some stream will still not make it, and that's okay. Because as stream keepers, we are not just building colonies, we are building ecosystem. We are shaping life in miniature, one mode at a time. So the next time you see a stream struggle, don't just feel defeat, feel respect. That tiny creature was trying to evolve, to level up, to grow beyond its old self. Sometimes it wins, sometimes it doesn't. But every time it teaches us something, and that perhaps is the real reason we keep streams. Not every stream will make it, but those that do, they reflect your care, your patience, your growth. You're not just keeping streams, remember that. You are building a living masterpiece. So stay present, stay curious, and stay inspired. And until next time, peace out.